What's up, YouTube? This is Pluto Vision here, back with another video. So this video will be discussing Pluto in the first house or Pluto conjunct your ascendant, right? So your first house rules your physical appearance, your physical body. It also rules your external personality, the part of yourself that you portray to the outside world. It's not like the deeper aspects of yourself or the sides of yourself that your friends and family and spouse knows. No, this is just who people meet when they meet you, right? Your first house is also your conscious mind. It rules your behaviors, and it also your first house is also how you see the world, right? So, say you have an Aries rising and a Scorpio rising, or an Aries first house, Scorpio first house, right? They're gonna see the world in two completely different ways. It's like they're in the same video game, but you know they're seeing things differently. You guys could be playing split screen, but y'all are still technically seeing things differently. You know what I'm saying? So that's your first house in a nutshell, right? Now, Pluto rules death, rebirth, transformation, you know, uh, regeneration. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. This is just like just when you think of death, it's not literally you physically dying, but it's just it's like an ending. You know, that's all death means when you're talking about Pluto. I mean, it can be physical death, but it's not always physical death, right? Pluto is all the taboo aspects of life and taboo aspects of society. So this isn't the type of stuff that you talk about, with your family and your grandma at the dinner table for Thanksgiving. No, these are the type of things that don't really get talked about, you know, out in the open, right? So think of that when you're thinking about Pluto, right? Pluto also rules psychology, like psychology on a much deeper level. Um, Pluto rules what else? Pluto basically rules the underworld. Pluto is the underworld of society. Pluto also rules power, uh, hidden power. So think of the people that run this society, or think of billionaires. That's Pluto to the extreme. Or even let's just say the police chief of your town or whatever. He has a lot of power over that. Over his police station. So that over the police force within that city. You get what I'm saying? So think of that when you're thinking of Pluto. Now, with someone that has Pluto in the first house, right? Let's rewind all the way back to childhood. So typically, someone with Pluto in the first house, they were born into a very a bit of a dangerous environment, an environment where they felt unsafe, and they were exposed to things that should be far beyond the comprehension of someone of a young child, right? So they may have been abused, neglected, abused on a psychological, mental, physical, sexual level, anything, things of that nature. They may have witnessed, you know, drug overdoses at a young age, within their family home, or just stuff like that. You're gonna see a lot of that stuff in someone that had Pluto in the first house. They may have had some of the most atrocious crimes committed against them at a very young age, right? And this forced them to learn how to rely on themselves, and it forced them to learn how to lean into their own personal power, right? Um, Reason being, well, Pluto rules the amygdala. Your amygdala is your fight or flight instincts, right? And you were put in circumstances that triggers your fight or flight system at a very, very young age. Like your fight or flight system was constantly in overdrive, right? So you are so you end up developing a lot of great survival instincts, and you learn how to read people, read energy, read between the lines, and see what people's true intentions are. It's something that you learn at a very young age with Pluto in the first house. And this is not meant as punishment. This is meant to empower you, because where Pluto is in your first chart is where you hold your own personal power, right? So your power is within yourself. You're taught to rely on yourself and rely on yourself for survival, right? So those are the type of themes of a person growing up with Pluto in the first house, right? Now, it is not, like I said, you cannot allow these things to handicap and hinder you in life. You have to use these things to gain, to be greater. You know, you have to use these things to gain your own personal power. Is basically what I'm saying. Um, so if you have Pluto in the first house, you're constantly going to find yourself in darker environments. You're constantly going to find yourself in the underworld. And think of it like this, right? If you have a strong Pluto placement in your chart, a prominent Pluto placement, it's like you are a nocturnal animal. You function best in the dark. So no matter where you are, you're constantly going to be attracting dark experiences or dark people or people that are in the dark. You're also going to be attracting a lot of people who are also going through their own personal transformations, and they'll look to you as guidance or inspiration, right? That's a very common theme within your life as someone that Pluto with Pluto in the first house. So don't look at yourself as bad as a bad person because you're always attracting these type of circumstances or these type of people. No, this is just the life you were destined to live. Yeah, Pluto in the first house, right? So again, this could range from you meeting like a business executive who, you know, secretly runs a large part of society, and but he keeps himself hidden. That's an example of a Pluto dominant person that may be drawn towards you, or you could be constantly meeting people who, you know, secretly sell drugs or secretly are, they're prostitutes or stuff like that. You're gonna constantly meet these type of people. Yeah, Pluto in the first house. Right now, as far as your physical appearance, because your physical appearance is your first house. If you have Pluto in the first house, you tend to have a very dark physical appearance. Um, and what I mean by that is you may tend to wear a lot of black or wear a lot of darker colors. You may have a more taboo way of presenting yourself. So you may have a bunch of tattoos or a lot of piercings or something like that. Or you know you may have dreads or just like long crazy dreads or crazy looking hair, so anything of that nature that could be Pluto in the first house. You also go through a lot of physical changes, right? And these physical changes tend to represent your own personal transformations and your own you know deaths and rebirths. So you may, for example, cut your hair off to signify a new beginning, or you may go get a tattoo to signify a new beginning, or you may gain a bunch of weight and put on a bunch of muscle or lose a bunch of weight. These are things that you tend to see with someone with Pluto in the first house. If you know someone has Pluto in the first house, you will constantly notice that you know they might disappear for a bit and then come back looking and acting completely different. That's just a theme for someone that's Pluto in the first house, right? In terms of your physical appearance, like your body, if you're a man, you tend to have you might have a very muscular build, or you may be lean but pretty cut, or you might just be a pretty, large, physically imposing dude, right? If you're a woman, you know, you tend to have a very nice figure. You may have large breasts or an hourglass shape or just anything of that nature. And the reason being is because Pluto, right? You trigger people's primal instincts. So you're going to be a very sexually alluring person, regardless of your gender. And even if that person's out of shape, they tend to still be very sexually appealing. That's just something you were blessed with, And this isn't really necessarily on like a beauty. This isn't necessarily like involving like beauty, like Venus would be. You might not have like the perfect, model type of face or whatever. This is a different type of attraction that you tend to trigger within people, right? Now, speaking of triggers, because Pluto rules the amygdala, the fight or flight system, people are either going to love you or they're going to hate you, right? One example of that is, you're going to intimidate people because you're triggering their fight or flight system. So they may start trying to start stuff with you for no reason. They might go behind your back, spreading rumors about you, trying to get you in trouble, trying to get you in trouble with the law or at your job, or they may completely avoid you. If they haven't integrated their shadow self, they're gonna want to avoid you because you can see right through them, right? Think of it like this: if you meet someone that can see through all your lies and all your BS and see you for who you truly are, but you don't want them knowing that, you're gonna feel triggered and you're gonna feel as if you're gonna feel threatened. That's how people feel around you when you have Pluto in the first house, because you can naturally read people and see people for who they truly are. On the flip side, because you're a very magnetic person, if someone is okay with themselves, they're comfortable with themselves, they're not trying to hide things from you or hide their true self from you, they're gonna naturally gravitate towards you. That's typically going to be other people who have a very prominent Pluto placement in their chart, right? Because it's almost like y'all part of the same astrological family. It's like real recognizes real. You know what I'm saying? So y'all are naturally going to be cool, right? Um, Now the last thing I can leave with you guys for Pluto in the first house You cannot let the traumatic experiences you go through as someone with Pluto in the first house, you can't allow that to define you. You cannot allow that to destroy you. You cannot be a victim. You have to constantly pick yourself up and be a stronger version of yourself. Not only for yourself, but also so you can guide others, because you're constantly going to meet people who are also going through these same transformations, and they're going to need your guidance. You have to remain strong no matter what. The constant death and rebirth that is required for you to ascend to who you are meant to be in this lifetime. You cannot become a new person without dying. You can't. If you want to achieve a goal, you have to die. You cannot achieve your goal while remaining who you are currently. The goal has to align with who you are. So, in order for you, let's say you want to be a millionaire, but you're broke. Well, you don't just set the goal to be a millionaire and then just slowly become a millionaire. No, that's not how it works. You have to kill your old self. That old version of yourself has to die so that the new version of yourself can be reborn so that you can naturally align with that goal. I'm just using that as an example. But someone who in the first house, this is the type of person who can go, they can be a drug addict, go cold turkey and quit. And then next thing you know, they're teaching other people how to beat their own addiction. That's an ability that someone with Pluto in the first house has that most people do not have. So instead of allowing this to beat you down, which is what I see a lot when you talk about Pluto, people in the comment section crying about how life is so tough and all this, and that. This is coming from someone else who also has a lot of Pluto energy in their chart. You cannot move like that. If you do, you're gonna live a life of despair and agony because you are not going through the process that Pluto wants you to go through. Pluto wants you to die and be reborn. But if you decide to, halt that process, you're gonna make things tougher on yourself. So you have to die and be reborn. It's a requirement. And if you do that, you will live a very prosperous life. If you don't, you're gonna hate your life, right? So again, like I said, you have to die in order to die and be reborn to accomplish your goals, and you have the abilities to do that instantly. You can become a new person instantly. That's something that most people can't do. So I'm gonna leave it at that. If you like the video, like, subscribe. If you have any questions, leave it in the comment section. If you don't like the video, dislike it, talk shit in the comment section. I don't care. So I'm out.